Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we'll explore the unfinished morning harvest of Quan and Tieu Lac. A peaceful day suddenly broken by one urgent phone call that forces Quan back to the city. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next episode. Morning arrived on the farm with a quiet kind of warmth. It was not dramatic. It was not the kind of morning that announced something important was about to happen. The sunlight simply slipped over the leaves, touched the ground, and spread slowly across the yard. The air was still fresh enough to feel gentle, but there was already a hint of heat hiding beneath it. The kind of heat that would grow stronger once the sun climbed higher. Inside the farm, everything seemed normal. Tieu Lac had just finished preparing drinks. She carried them out carefully, one glass after another, and placed them on the table in front of Quan. It was a small action, nothing too special, but there was something very familiar in the way she did it. She did not need to say too much. Her care was always quiet like that. It lived in the little things, a glass of water at the right time, a soft reminder, a glance to see if he was tired. Quan was sitting there, not in a hurry. She had known Quan through many unexpected things. At first, he was simply someone who had helped her, someone kind, someone who appeared in her life without making too many promises. But slowly, after spending time together, after sharing small conversations and quiet days on the farm, something between them had changed. It was not loud. It was not rushed. It grew like morning light, slowly, gently, almost without either of them noticing until it was already there. Quan looked at her and smiled faintly. "Should we go now?" Tieu Lac glanced at the sunlight outside. "Yes, let's go now. If we wait too long, it'd make it sunny later." "Okay," Quan said. She stood up right away. "Let me get my basket first." Quan watched her leave for a moment. There was a calmness in that scene that stayed with him. Tieu Lac moving through the farm, preparing for a simple morning harvest, looking so natural in this place. It made him feel as if the world outside the farm gate could wait a little longer. Soon, Tieu Lac returned with her basket. "I've prepared my basket," she said. "Do you need anything else?" Quan paused. His hand stopped for a second before he reached for the phone. Tieu Lac noticed the small change in him right away. The softness in his face faded just a little, replaced by something more serious. He looked at the screen. Then he said, "It's my father calling." Tieu Lac's expression shifted, but only slightly. She did not ask too many questions. She only nodded and said, "Okay, answer it." Quan stood up and stepped aside. "Hello, Dad." His voice remained respectful, calm, almost the same as usual. But Tieu Lac, standing a short distance away, could feel that the air had changed. A moment ago, they had been talking about gardens and riverbank fields. A moment ago, the whole morning had belonged to them. Now, with one phone call, another world had entered the farm. Quan listened quietly. Tieu Lac could not hear everything clearly, but she saw his expression grow heavier. His eyes lowered, and the silence between his answers became longer. Whatever his father was saying, it was not casual. It was not a simple check-in. It was something that pulled Quan away from the peaceful morning they had just begun. The basket was still there, ready for harvesting. The drinks were still unfinished on the table. The path outside still waited under the sun. But Tieu Lac suddenly felt as if the day had already started slipping out of her hands. Quan answered again, his voice lower now. "Yes, Dad." A quiet worry passed through Tieu Lac's heart. She did not know yet what had happened. She did not know what his father wanted. She only knew that Quan's face had changed, and the morning they had been looking forward to no longer felt certain. The farm remained still around them, but the peace from earlier had cracked. And somewhere deep inside, Tieu Lac began to understand that their simple harvesting day might not happen after all. Quan stayed on the phone for a little longer. Tieu Lac did not move. She remained near the table, her fingers lightly touching the edge of the glass she had not finished drinking. She tried not to look too worried, but her eyes kept returning to Quan's face. The longer he listened, the more she felt that something was not right. Finally, Quan spoke again. "This afternoon?" he asked, as if he needed to make sure he had heard correctly. There was a pause. Then he nodded even though his father could not see him. "Yes, Dad, I understand." His voice was calm, but it had become heavier than before. The kind of heaviness that comes when a person suddenly has to choose between where they want to be and where they are expected to go. After a few more words, Quan ended the call. For a moment, he just stood there with the phone in his hand. He did not turn around immediately. It was as if he needed a second to gather himself before facing Tieu Lac. Tieu Lac looked at him quietly. "What happened?" she asked softly. Quan turned back to her. "My father said I have to go back to the company this afternoon," he said. "There's an urgent meeting." Tieu Lac's eyes lowered for a second. It was only a very small movement, but it was enough to show the disappointment she was trying to hide. "This afternoon?" she repeated. Quan nodded. "Yes," he said, "it's important." The morning became strangely silent. Just a few minutes earlier, they had been talking about harvesting together. They had imagined walking through the garden, looking for fruits, maybe going down toward the riverbank if the weather stayed good. Everything had felt easy. Everything had felt close. Now, that simple plan was slipping away. Quan looked at Tieu Lac and explained, "Normally, my assistant would call me if there was a meeting or a change in schedule. My father doesn't usually call me directly like this. So, I think it must be something serious." Tieu Lac understood. She knew Quan had responsibilities in the city. She knew he was not someone who could stay on the farm forever without thinking about work. Still, knowing that did not make the moment easier. She forced a small smile. "Then you should go back," she said. "If it's important, you need to take care of it." Quan's expression tightened with regret. "I'm sorry," he said. "I really thought we could go harvesting today." "It's okay," Tieu Lac replied quickly, almost too quickly. "I can go alone. Next time you come back, we can go together." She said it gently, but inside something had already fallen quiet. It was not anger, it was not blame. It was only the quiet sadness of someone who had been waiting for a small happiness, then had to let it go before it even began. Quan looked at her for a long moment. Maybe he could feel it too. Maybe he knew she was disappointed, even if she was trying not to show it. That made him feel even more reluctant to leave. But the city was far away. If he waited too long, he might not make it in time. And whatever his father had called about, it clearly could not be ignored. "I should go pack my things," Quan said. Tieu Lac nodded. "Okay, go prepare. Don't worry about me." Those words were meant to comfort him, but they made the distance between them feel sharper. Quan walked inside to gather what he needed. Tieu Lac remained outside, looking at the basket she had prepared. It sat there quietly, empty and waiting. A few minutes ago, it had carried the promise of a shared morning. Now, it looked like a reminder of everything that had changed too fast. She picked it up, then set it back down. There was no need to bring it yet, not now. When Quan came back out, he was ready to leave. He moved quickly, but not because he wanted to. Every action seemed to carry a little hesitation. He checked his things, looked toward the road, then looked back at Tieu Lac. "Are you ready?" she asked him, though her voice was softer now. Quan gave a faint nod. "Yes, I guess I have to go now. I'm afraid I won't make it on time if I wait any longer." Tieu Lac nodded again. "Then go," she said. "The road to the city is far." "Be careful." Quan looked at her, and for a moment he did not answer. There were many things he could have said. He could have promised again that he would come back soon. He could have apologized one more time. He could have told her not to go harvesting alone if she was tired. But sometimes, when a person feels guilty for leaving, words only make the goodbye heavier. Still, he spoke. "I'll come back to you soon," he said. Tieu Lac smiled, but it did not reach her eyes completely. "Okay." Quan stepped toward the gate, then turned back once more. "Next time I come back, I'll go harvesting with you," he said. "Yes," Tieu Lac answered. "Next time." That phrase hung quietly between them. Next time. It sounded simple, but neither of them knew what would happen before that next time arrived. Quan gave her one last look, then finally walked out through the gate. Tieu Lac stood there and watched him leave. The morning sunlight was brighter now. The coolness from earlier had begun to fade, and the heat slowly pressed down over the farm. Quan's figure moved farther away along the road, and with every step, the peaceful world they had shared seemed to stretch thinner and thinner. Tieu Lac did not call after him. She only stood still, holding back the disappointment she had already promised herself not to show. She knew he had to go. She knew work was important. She knew she had no right to make him stay. But knowing all of that did not stop her heart from feeling empty. When Quan finally disappeared from view, the farm became quiet again. Only this time, it was not the same kind of quiet as before. The glasses were still on the table. One of them was unfinished. The basket was still nearby, prepared for a harvest that would no longer happen with both of them. The path to the garden still waited, but Tieu Lac no longer felt the same excitement about walking there. She lowered her eyes and took a slow breath. Maybe she would still go alone. Maybe she would still harvest something today. Life on the farm did not stop just because someone had to leave. But deep inside, Tieu Lac could not ignore the feeling that this departure was different. Quan had left for the city before, but this time the call had come too suddenly. His expression had changed too much. His father's voice had carried too much urgency. Even from a distance, she could not fully hear. And as Tieu Lac stood alone beside the unused basket, she felt a faint worry rise quietly in her heart. Quan was going back to the city, and somehow, she felt that when he returned, everything might no longer be the same. In this episode, a quiet morning on the farm begins with warmth and simple happiness. Tieu Lac prepares drinks for Quan, and the two plan to go harvesting together in the gardens and fields near the riverbank. For a moment, everything feels peaceful, familiar, and full of unspoken trust. But that calm is suddenly interrupted when Quan receives an urgent phone call from his father. He is told to return to the city immediately for an important company meeting. Although Quan feels regretful about leaving, he knows he cannot ignore his responsibility. Tieu Lac hides her disappointment and gently encourages him to go, promising they can harvest together next time. As Quan prepares to leave, their goodbye becomes quiet and heavy. The unused basket remains behind, turning a simple morning plan into an emotional, unfinished moment for both of them.